So I know that I cannot see you guys, but just by raising hands, how many of you guys are product marketers here? Pretty much everyone over here. That's pretty good. My job will be easy. Very good. So I, like in Silicon Valley, my profile has been pretty much like started as a developer, managed engineering team, started to do product management and product marketing many years ago. So for the last 10, 12 years, maybe more, I don't even remember now, I've been doing product marketing. And what I want to kind of do today is not rocket science, just simple best practices, tips that I have been using, some of the things that has worked for you. A lot of my colleagues and my team members, when I mentor, they have told me that it has worked for them. So I'm just going to go very simple things that I have been doing and kind of give you an example of some of the things that I have just recently done as part of go-to-market strategy for my company when we started to go from Nutanix. We went IPO 2 years ago, 3 years ago. We had one product, great. Suddenly we had 16 to 18 products, and go-to-market was not that easy, right? So we worked on some of that, and I'll give you some examples of that. But before I do that, this is kind of a framework that I have been using. I have seen people use kind of similar framework, but at the heart of it is the strategy. The go-to-market strategy, how you go about going to market, how you take your products, starting with looking at the pain points, attaching your solution to those pain points, and coming up with a strategy is the key of that. And then there are like the 4 quadrants that you see. I'll start from product messaging and launch. So kind of doing the messaging, again, I'll give you a very simple example of messaging. I will give you a framework for launches. So that's kind of one thing that product marketers does as part of to execute the go-to-market strategy. Second, I'll talk about sales enablement, another very, very key. And I'll give a couple of examples that I didn't do early on in my career, but later on I started doing it, and it was very, very helpful to me. And I'll share that with you. Third one is kind of making sure that you're working with the corporate marketing, helping them, supporting them with the demand gen, with the content, with the event, with top of the funnel activities, middle of the funnel, helping them go to events, user community, user group meetings, and so on. And then finally, thought leadership and awareness. That's a key part of a product marketer. Making sure that you are responsible for any doing activities, you're doing tactics, you're using your resources to make sure that you are perceived as a thought leader. Many of us have been in products, like we have been leaders in Gartner's Magic Quadrant for multiple years and so on, but it as a core part of you as a product marketer, you need to be thinking about how I could raise the awareness, how I could become a thought leader, just as a kind of technology provider. Talk about, for example, Nutanix. They coined the term HCI, hyper-converged infrastructure. Before that, there was converged infrastructure. They kind of added hyper, and they kind of whole Gartner came together, and they did a magic quadrant around that. So that's thought leadership. That's kind of setting up the market, setting up, showing the leadership in there. So I will go and talk about each one of those. But before I do that, how many of you have seen programmatic marketing and gone through those courses? Most of us, many of us who have been doing product management, product marketing for many years, we have gone through this, right? And these are some of the tasks that you need to do. This is an exercise I did at my last job. I kind of sat with our chief product officer. I was VP of product marketing, and we decided, okay, who does what and where we collaborate. So this is just a kind of example of that. But this is something that you need to look at between inbound product marketing and product marketing, which is kind of typically outbound. it could be anywhere. It could just can be a diagonal line or can vertical or a zigzag. But these are the activities that you need to do. And certain places, product marketing does certain thing versus product management does. I was at Oracle. There was a team in product management called outbound product management. They kind of did some of the tasks that product marketers did at other places. So again, this is a good, if you're kind of thinking of I'm building the team, I'm kind of many times there are a few startups. I met with a couple of people who are a startup, one-person product marketer. So I think this will help them kind of think about what are the things that I need to do? Am I missing something? That something will help me go to market in a good way. Okay, so let me start with the strategy, right? Go-to-market strategy. That's the key part of your success, and how your success is pretty much dependent on the strategy, right? So let me give you an example of Nutanix. I started with that. We had one product. Go-to-market was relatively straightforward. We were Gartner leaders for many years. We were able to articulate the value prop very easily. But then we extended, we acquired. We suddenly had 18 products. And then we started kind of spraying and painting, and then started kind of thinking, okay, let's see what sticks, right? It was becoming very, very chaotic. And then we had a founders team within, we call them startup within our company. There are multiple of them. They build their own products, and they kind of really pushed very hard on selling their products, right? So it was becoming very difficult to go to market. So what we decided, a framework that we came up with for FY20 is that working with the sellers, working with the sales leaders, we decided that instead of selling and leading through the product, let's lead through the workloads and solution around the workloads where that our customers are using our infrastructure for. No one is using infrastructure just for fun, right? They are running an application. They're running, delivering a service. They are basically, trying to delight their customer via those services. So the workloads running of the infrastructure are important. So we decided to kind of go. Decided the 3 key plays that we'll be doing in the year around. It could be anything depending on your technology and solution or products that you have. But we decided to go with that, and we did that 3 different groups under my team who kind of led the planning, and we came up with the core messaging for the plays. Okay, for the end user computing, private cloud, and databases. And then we also focus on verticals. So depending on if you're kind of targeting a verticals, you could take the core message. For example, private cloud could be really good for banking. That's what they're like for financial services. So the team which is working on financial services, the vertical team is kind of taking our private cloud message and kind of customizing it because they talk about different challenges, different trends. And it's all about connecting your solution, mapping your solution with the pain and the challenges that you see in the marketplace, right? That's how you get engagement and attention. So that's what we kind of started with. Then, the plays become kind of think of like, there are 2 parallel swim lanes that go on. One is marketing, another one is sales. So for each plays, you need to have integrated sales and marketing happening. So if marketing is building a content, they're doing marketing, say around end user computing or databases, then you need to kind of start training your SDRs, ISRs, sales guys, so that when they have those leads in their queue, they know how to talk to them intelligently, how to kind of connect with the pain points they have. So it is very, very important that when you start a go-to-market strategy and the play, whatever you're focusing on, you need to build both kind of sales and marketing around that. By that I mean, if you're doing marketing tactics, then you need to train sales, and they need to have the right kind of call script, right kind of warm-up emails, the follow-up emails, everything that the sales need, the cheat sheet, quick reference guide, battle cards, the entire. I think I have a bomb that I used recently. I'll show that to you. But that's Very, very important that you have both of them together in sync. For example, I'm going and we're talking with our team is doing a SDR training. We have the whole marketing team over there. They're kind of sitting together, strategizing, and then kind of doing training so that, like the emails that they're using are something that the SDRs understand, the ISRs understand, and so on. So the next one I wanted to kind of after the strategy, the 4 quadrants, I'll go kind of do a double click on all of them. Product messaging or solution messaging or sales play messaging, whatever that is, whatever you're trying to. So very kind of 3 key parts of messaging that you need to think of. You really need to understand via research, via the analyst, via primary research, via talking with customers, somehow understand the challenges. So articulating, understanding the challenges is the first part of the messaging, right? So you do that. I'm kind of preaching to the choir over here. You're product marketers, this is one-on-one, but I decided to just kind of go and just do basic, and so you do that, and then map your solution to the problem. Right, the challenges that you have. Kind of 3 key part of messaging: articulating, documenting, making sure that we have challenges really covered and documented, validated. You go and kind of do the testing with customers. Are they the right challenges you're having? Talk to the analyst and see that if these are the right challenges that they are hearing in the marketplace. Then you articulate your solution in context to that, right? And then proof points, right? So don't listen to me, third party, whatever is the proof point. It could be customer that is, a customer reference, how they kind of did certain things and got a pretty good ROI, or were able to do things faster, better, cheaper. You could use them as a proof point. Anything that is not kind of you as a marketer doing, a third party, analyst, a benchmarking company, and so on. You need to have. So challenges, value prop, and proof point are the kind of 3 key recipes that you need to look at when you're building the message. And then launch, right? You, as a product marketer, you're responsible for launches. One method that I started following is SiriusDecisions, this framework. And all launches are not same, right? They are different. They look different. Sometimes you just have a few bugs that you fix, some enhancement. So they kind of do the tiering, and depending on the tiering, actually you could decide what you want to do. And I have something from my last job that it's iChart. You don't need to read this, but this is something that I did for different tiers. Here are the different things that you could do, and then it becomes very easy, right? So when these the PMs, some of the GMs, when they come to you and say that, hey, I need to do press release, I told this to someone, I say hey, let's look at, we agreed that this is a tier 2, we are not doing press release, we will do blog. So it becomes easy for you to convince your stakeholders on what are the different things that you're doing. But it's very important to have a methodology, a framework that everyone agrees to, and you could use that on a consistent basis. Sales enablement, again, very key to your success. Very, very important. This is something that I presented very recently at our sales kickoff. For each of the sales plays, we came up with different kind of tools. Sales playbook or training. So training is something that we presented at sales kickoff. We trained the sales teams, but we kind of built a little bit more, added more details to that, and kind of created what we call playbook and made it available offline, and so on. Customer deck, sales playbook, quick sales quick reference guide. Some people call it battle card, cheat sheet. Omid, I, and you worked on cheat sheets at App Dynamics, if you remember. So it's pretty much similar kind of tools. Solution brief. It's very important to have demoability is a very key part. So you need to have demos that is easy to do, not that something is very difficult to set up. You could kind of try to do all different kind of, like you could do a video that you could voice over. There are the ways that when I was at Oracle, we used to do what we call click-through demos. So basically a set of screenshots that people just kind of had. Every time you click, it went to the next screen. But it was pretty good for telling the story. You don't need the whole setup. You don't need to set up the databases. You don't need to set up the whole thing in your environment. So it's easy to do. So these are the, I just give a few examples for different things. And then as you go later in your sales cycle, when you have to prove the value, that's where you need the reference architecture, ROI and TCO papers, or if you have tools that you could use to help that, as well as value-based selling. So there are various tools that you could use to kind of justify the financial part of it, like there's ROI in the business. So when you are going and talking to the sales guys, first thing as a product marketer, it's your job to sell this to those sellers, right? Why should they invest in it? Why is it that important for them, right? So you need to tell them that, hey, you could retire your quota. You could retire your quota really, really easily. There's a pretty good win rate percentage of this solution. We have seen it. There's a good expand, and basically you can make money. You have to show them, you have to prove it to them that you can make money. And for example, this math, very easily you could say, hey, what's your quota? Let's say it's $2 million. And if average deal size is 200K, you just need 10 deals. And if you have 50% win rate from the opportunities, you just need 20 opportunities. So simple. Make it simple for them. Make it easy for them. So that's your job as a product marketer to kind of really engage, especially in the large corporation. If one salesperson is selling multiple products, it's really difficult to get their attention, and you need to do that if you want to kind of get their attention and get your play or your product or your solution successful. This is one thing I talked about. I kind of started doing it recently. It's segmentation, making sure that you have the right kind of the target accounts and the contacts. This is as a go-to-market leader, it's your responsibility to make sure that the go-to-market is successful, right? You cannot just build the content and leave it and say that, okay, my job is done. In order to make it successful, you need to be looking at the content and the sales, the account list. You can work with marketing ops, come up with a target account list, come up with the criteria, what makes, for example, a good target for database or end user computing or private cloud, and you have to give it to the sales team and help them. They do these exercises, but if you provide them and then help them with a dashboard to track, so that at the end of the day, you're making your go-to-market for the solution or play or whatever it is, you're making it measurable and everyone is on the same page. So this is one thing that I started doing recently, and I really, I think that I will never go back and not do it. This is so important that having that information and making it available to the sales guys. And of course, in addition to that, you need to provide the titles, categories, and stuff so that you could get the right kind of contacts out of that. So the two parts, right? Account list and the contacts, because if you're doing marketing, you have to reach out to the marketers, and for that you need contacts. Again, demand gen support. We talked about the sales enablement part, but at the same time, you need to have marketing content, right? You need to have the basic videos, overview videos, teaser video, solution brief, trial, white paper, and so on. You need to have all these different tools, and you could use them in different phases of the top of the funnel, middle of the funnel, and bottom of the funnel. And as a product marketer, you need to provide content for that. You need to facilitate getting the content. You need to have the subject matter expertise to guide building some of the content and the white paper and the ebook and so on. Thought leadership, the final piece over here is, it's very, very important for you to, as a product marketer, to ensure that you are not only just kind of talking about speed and feed, but kind of setting up your product or your solution as a leader. As someone who is contributing to the community, someone who is trying to, add to the table, to the broader kind of participating in standards, working and coming up with new ideas and trends and sharing it with. So this is one example from some of my past job around DevOps that I think it was at CA when I ran DevOps solution marketing. But that's the idea that just speed and feed, data sheet, web, and self-enablement is not good enough. You need to work on that. So, I just kind of did a very simple recipe for you guys, and thought that we'll, leave a few minutes. Do we have a few minutes? Yeah. For questions. And this is something that just based out of my experience and something I have been using. And I'm sharing that with you. And with that, I'm opening up for any questions that you have.
Perfect. Let's give them a round of applause real quick. Awesome. I know there's questions in the room, so here we go.
And by the way, as you're looking for, I'm hiring, so I have 6 to 8 different recs, so please feel free to take. There are a bunch I posted on the Slack as well. So,
hello. Thanks for a great presentation. I had a question. So you went through and you had some very detailed information about each stage and the types of materials and so. It's great. It's very detailed. So how many products in your world does a product marketer market, given the amount of activity? What's like a good mix?
It depends. It depends. Right now, like we have around, in my group, around 18 different products. And we have 8 product marketers working on different things. But we now added solutions team. So I have solutions and verticals team. So we have around 35 people in the product marketing, and I run go-to-market strategy, sales enablement, solutions, verticals, and my team is around 20 people. So it's kind of there, and then we have technical marketing, the people who guys do demos and stuff like that. So PMM, the core PMM who are focusing on product is like 2 products on an average, but there is kind of broader product and solution marketing that does other things that I talked about, because just product is not good enough. You need to kind of look at other parts as well.
Where do you draw the line between?
The microphone is there.
I think a question that I usually think about is, to do all of this, you really need to know the customer, the sales guy and their process, and also a lot of what customers actually need. And the best way to do that is to actually meet the customer face to face. I know events are places that we get to meet the customer, but how do you convince sales guys to make you part of the process of meeting a customer to help create the assets and content that they need? Because sales guys just think of us, okay, we need this PPT cleaned up, or we need that asset, and they think about us as a last resort.
Right. So there are, yes, I mean, that's especially if you're in a larger company, that's a challenge that you end up seeing that. But there are multiple other ways as a product marketers. I and our team ran customer advisory board, right? So that's a good way to connect with. So if you build that framework and you engage your customers around that, that not only gives you kind of credibility, you are kind of connecting them to the product teams, and they kind of get a lot of value out of it. At my last job, I ran executive customer advisory board, and it was so beneficial for the company, for the individuals, the leaders who came in. So that's one way. Another way is that for your annual events, for example, all of us have worked as a product marketer. We helped with that. So we kind of took a few customers, we worked with them, came up with their story together, and helped build that. Doing customer videos, participating in customer references, interviewing customers for the win and loss. There are multiple different ways to kind of engage. Going to the booth. From here, I'm going to Oracle Open World. My team is there. I'm going to go stand there for a couple of hours and just see if I could talk to some customers, right? So there are all different ways to connect with the customer and get their feedback firsthand.
If I could do a quick shameless plug too, there's a lot of technology that facilitates the feedback loop between sales and marketing, even to the point too, if you think about what is a seller doing in their day, right? If they have a question that's coming from a customer, they'll typically go to their content portal and type in a search query. So being able to track that data is becoming increasingly important for product marketers to know what customers are asking for on the front lines and even identify gaps within your content universe. So
you need to.
Yeah, I know. I gotta flex a little bit on that.
Seismic, that's
anyway.
the tool that he has, and we are using it, so I vouch for it.
Where do you draw the line between product marketing and sales enablement? Do you think sales enablement is a core discipline of product marketing, or do you think they should be separate teams?
So, very good question, and this is a struggle that I have seen everywhere I have been to. I believe that the sales enablement strategy and the content, the BOM that I showed, is owned by product marketers. So we own building the content. And sales enablement team is about methodology, delivery, making sure that the sales teams are kind of consuming the content, recording that, reporting on it to make sure that they're doing it. We used a tool in my past job as well as currently called MindTickle, for example. They administer that, right? So as well as they also do methodology like MEDPIC and MEDIC and like different teams. So they kind of do like new hire training where they teach on the core methodology. They own that part. But when it comes to the solution content, solution messaging, the challenges, how to do the objectional handling, what's the kind of how to qualify, so those kind of things that we as a product and solution marketers should own.
Thank you. That was actually one of my first questions, so thank you for answering that. My second question is, at my company, we typically launch a lot of new features, and we just launched a major new product for the first time in many years.
Right.
What are some best practices in sustaining and growing that new product after it's launched?
Yeah. So I think that, I talked about, let me see if I could get there real quick. A launch methodology, like for example, SiriusDecision, if you kind of follow that, and there's nothing that, like what you should do for a certain tier or not, but something that you agreed as a team with your product team, with your sales, and then coming up with, like pre-launch, post-launch, at launch, what are the different things you're doing. I think that helps in that, especially when you're doing some, small features versus a new functionality altogether versus some enhancements, or if you do a completely new product. So they have different, they do 4 different tiers. It's a completely new offering. For example, at last job, we had test automation, but we launched the robotic process automation, completely a different offering. So that was, like a completely in its own tier, and so on. So I think it depends how you are categorizing, but coming up with a framework, whatever that is, you don't necessarily need to follow one framework, but coming up with what makes it, type 1, type 2, or type 3, and then coming up with like different tools and different things you do for certain kind of things. You could only just do, like update the data sheet web page and do a sales webinar for internal webinar, and then kind of do a blog. The other one you could kind of go, like you do analyst briefing, media briefing, you do press releases, and so on. So it depends basically, but kind of coming up with a framework and repeating that, evolving as you get feedback and see what works. I think that's what I have used in the past.
Thank you. So the challenge that some of the enterprise, if not all of them, have is that there's a diverse set of products, and each product appeals to a different persona. at AppDynamics, we had this problem, and I'm sure, obviously, you've probably experienced this in every other company you've been to. Have you found a framework or a methodology in which you can go to market for each individual persona without cannibalizing the larger message?
Yeah. So, a very good question, and this is something that all of us struggle with, right? So, everyone wants to go to the C-level because, like if you engage with them, your ASP goes higher, right? You get more. But for our product, like IT managers, senior IT manager, directors, those are kind of the typical persona we targeted. So the core content that we built, the sales playbook, was around that. And then, we build, we have not, for example, for the 3 plays that I talked about, we are kind of going now and building it for other persona. But we decided that which is our biggest persona that we are targeting, because it's difficult to have like 3 different messages and train the people. Most of the sales guys kind of go to that persona and sell, and that's what is working so far. So we need to come up with a little bit different version of the messaging at a little bit higher level, support that with marketing content, portfolio level messaging that appeals to that, and then go that in a different campaign separately. So that's how I'm doing it. There's no when you're doing your sales training or building that content, you have to identify the persona and then talk about their likes, dislikes, what motivates them, what promotes them, and so on, so that you understand that, right? So when the sales guy goes, they know who this person is. But as far as the messaging, you just pick the kind of number 1 persona and kind of go do that, and then add messages for other personas later. And that's how I have done it.
Any other questions from the audience? All right, well then let's give on one more big round of applause. Great
and
question.
again, there are tons of the opportunities over here in my team. I'm doing this plug over here, and it's on Slack as well. And please feel free to tweet me, reach out.
Perfect.